Hey, what's up, everybody? Are we still bullish? Are we going to break out and go to the upside, or are we going to crash and go into a miserable bear market? Well, I mean, there's arguments for both sides currently at the moment. I'm going to show you something I haven't shown before. We're going to revisit this over here. We're going to look at this as a fractal, and we're just going to pull that, and we're just going to look at it from a timing perspective. From a timing perspective. Basically, what I want to do is if you look at how long this took compared to how long this is taking, it's kind of scary that it's literally the same, right? So let's take a look at it. So if I plug it up as best as I can, right about there, and I use my cursor here, you could see it's almost to the top. So if I resize it and I just kind of bring it down like this, without totally messing it up, you could kind of see there's an argument to be made that, yeah, man, this thing is over, and that's it. I know some of you guys follow BCB, and he's already 50% cash. He looks at the MACD crossover. Plus, he's looking at this, and he's looking at the rate cuts, the cutting cycle. So, I mean, there's an argument to be made that, we should be neutral, right? We shouldn't be too overly bullish, overly bearish. But for me, I'm going to show you why I'm still bullish, but I'm also going to show you why I'm very cautious, and I'm not going to just ignore the bearish signals, because there are bearish signals, but at the same time there are bullish signals. So what do you do in that environment? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. So first, the bearish, from a timing perspective, this is pretty phenomenal. You could see that it hit exactly at the top, it hit exactly at the bottom, it broke out exactly when it was supposed to. It topped right around here, and now we can see the literal top. Doesn't mean it's over. This thing could still go up, and I'm going to tell you why I don't like it in a minute for the bears. But you can see, I mean, we can't ignore that, basically. So what he did not show was this XRP fractal, and yeah, so yeah, I mean, we're looking at something that could be very concerning in here, and you can see when I bring this up, and let's go down here. And why does that say Bitcoin dominance? It doesn't make any sense. Look at that. It says Bitcoin dominance right there. What's going on? But you can see right here where we're going boom, and then boom. Same thing here. Boom. And, so you're getting the same type of bearish M pattern. You got the same type of descending triangle type of look to it. So very, very concerning, very, very real possibility that this could be over. But when I mean over, it doesn't mean over forever. It means, so, at the end of the day, we're still in this, descending triangle like we talked about the last video. Definitely go watch the previous videos. Definitely a lot of information in there. But right here, right now, it still stands as far as the bullish count and the bearish count, which is essentially looking at this as 3 waves down, right? We have 3 waves up, and this is going to be 3 waves back down, and then we can go up. And basically, yes, we will have a big crash, but it's going to be inside of this range, right? So A or W, X, Y. So there's your 3-way move right there. And that's a very, very common 3-way move. Happens all the time. So at the end of the day, is that going to play out? We shall see. But what I don't like about it is the shape of this. I don't like that descending triangle. I don't like it at all. I would rather it be, just a regular bear flag and then a move down, right? So if we're going to have a three-wave move down, or if we're going to have, this kind of shape, so we have three right there, right? Boom. So we have three down, right? And then we have three up. Here's the problem. Ready? So we have three up. There's no problem there. The problem is, again, this descending triangle. So it usually doesn't start off as a triangle. So versus, having something where it comes down and then it bear flags up and then it comes back down. And that's a nice three-wave move, and then we can go up. But what this is doing is it's kind of doing this crap like this, right? So that's very scary, especially where we're at in the market. So if we get a drop from here, if we get a drop from here, which is extremely likely now, unless we break out, if we could push out of here, if we could break above 315, I'm not saying that anymore, but we're at an inflection point. And, so it just doesn't give me the shape like this shape. It just gives me a different shape that I don't really like as far as a three-wave move. So the alternative to this is that we're totally wrong, and that idea is totally wrong, and this is flagging out very beautifully, and we basically have an impulse, and we have an A, B, C, right? And then we have a 1, 2, 1, 2. We're flagging out for 2, and we're about to explode to the upside. The problem with the bearish argument is I'm not convinced, if it is a bearish argument, that it's going to be a full-on bear market. I think it could be a mid-cycle correction, because remember, if we are in fact in a cutting cycles don't last too long, hopefully, especially when things start getting out of control. They're going to cut really fast. I mean, look how fast COVID was, right? They started cutting during COVID, and it lasted not long at all. So the problem also with the bearish argument is, what about things like the XRP ETF? What about other, like a Litecoin ETF or anything like that? Well, look at this. This was put out yesterday, 20 hours ago. Basically, it says 6-spot XRP ETF awaits SEC approval. It's like, well, what the hell's going on in the U.S. with, because we were supposed to get this immediately, right? I mean, but, they restructured some stuff in the SEC, so it made it different, especially with the regulations. But, we're waiting for the SEC approval with final deadlines for October, and they can reshape market conditions following their debut. Yes, they can reshape, exactly. So that's why I'm a little bit, I don't know. So, well, what do you do in that situation? Well, you want to be at least a little bit in cash, right, in case we have a big problem. The regulatory backdrop underwent a significant change on September 17th when the SEC approved a generic listing standard for crypto-related ETFs. So basically, they redid the process on how they approach ETFs and stuff like that, because you can't use the Howey test, right? That's an old thing. Crypto is a new thing, and it has to be a new standard, a new way to look at it. So they changed it with the regulation, which pushed the deadline further, and it makes total sense, right? So, right here is a big one right here. Look at this. As a result, a senior ETF analyst noted on September 29th that approvals on altcoins are not a matter of if, but when. So they're coming no matter what. They are coming. Trump's crypto administration is not going to screw this up. Trust me, they're not. You know, they're doing it. They want to do it the right way. It's taking a little bit of time. Remember, they had to change the regulatory framework on how the SEC approaches ETFs, on how they can diagnose what the hell, if it's approved or if it's not, or how that framework looks. So that's kind of what has been going on the whole year. And now we should be getting close. So let's see. I want to say I saw something else. However, timing still depends on Washington during the federal shutdown. That's a whole other thing, too. And we could be seeing some bearishness also because of the government shutdown, where when things shut down, then optimism, it kills the optimism. It kills the confidence in the next goal, right? The market, the only reason the market goes up is because it looks forward to the next goal. Once that next goal is met, it's just like buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So the rumor is we're gonna have this great, beautiful thing, which is the goal, and then once we hit that goal, then you sell it, right? And so when is this gonna happen? Well, the ETFs could be a sell the news event in quote on, but we should see a lead in. We should see the market start pumping into the ETF, right? With the anticipation of the ETF. But knowing the Trump administration, they like to keep things very surprising, right? They love the surprise. So anyways, once staff returns, who knows when they're going to return? The longest government shutdown lasted 20 days or so, so hopefully it shouldn't last too long. Effectiveness orders can be reassessed, meaning, but you know what? This could be the longest government shutdown in history because of how the circumstances are stacked against Trump and the deep state and how they're trying to protect the illegals from the whole reason the Democrats want free medical for illegals is so that it incentivizes them to keep coming, which incentivizes them to keep voting. Because if you look at the illegal immigration heat map, it's all concentrated in Democrat areas. And that's the whole reason why Democrats love illegal aliens, is so they can vote Democrat. It has nothing to do with, oh, they're illegals, poor illegals, they're coming from a better country, you're going to a better country, blah, blah, blah. It's all bullcrap. They're just doing it for votes. They're doing it for control. They're trying to condense the cities with population so that they can get more board members, so they can get more votes, so they can get more districts, right? They're all like sort of trying to redistrict bullcrap. So anyway, so we have a lot of ETF. I want to say I saw something where we have a lot of ETF. Oh yeah, you know what? It's right at the top. So here we go. So 6 ETF filings are due, guys. They are due October 18th to the 25th. I can't believe I missed that. So that's like what, 12, 13, basically 2 weeks away. So we're 2 weeks away from 6 XRP ETF filings are due October 18th to the 25th. We trace the paperwork and model flows, liquidity, blah, blah, blah. So, so the federal shutdown, the SEC is operating with a skeleton crew, because it's Halloween, and does not process registration statements, pausing the launches of ETFs until funding resumes. Once staff returns, effectiveness orders can be reassessed, meaning an October approval is still plausible, but probably not likely because they're not coming back. So it's probably going to be pushed, dead, because remember, we're at war right now, and it's hard. Trump's trying to make America great again. He's trying to do all these things, but at the same time, you have an obstructionist, you have insurrectionists, they're basically just trying to make him not do anything, and that's the problem. They're literally cancer. It's like a cancer sore growing on your neck, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's basically going to eat your whole head. And if you don't do anything about it, which we need to do something. How much money flows could be a live debate, but several blah 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 market research suggested as 8 billion in the first year. Wow. ETFs could absorb 1 to 4% circulating supply. JP Morgan, here we go. There's a big boy. January framework extrapolated from Bitcoin Ethereum penetration projected 3 to 6% of market cap. Who talks like that? Seriously. XRP traded at $3 as of press time, which implies roughly 5.5 billion to 11 billion in 1 year net creation. So basically, you know, there's some, this is ammunition, guys. This is stuff to look forward to, right? So just because I'm a trader, just because Blockchain Backer is a trader, doesn't mean that we should just all go to cash, you know? What it means is you have to understand every situation is different. So for me, I have to trade and I have to make money in order to live. I'm sure Blockchain Backer makes his money through his subscriptions or whatever he does. But he went to 50% cash to protect himself, but that doesn't mean he can't redeploy that cash once there's a better understanding. But for you to redeploy that cash would be a lot more difficult because it's more stressful getting out of the market, getting into the market. You want a good price. You don't want to screw it up. And what if you get out and then the market goes up? Then you just screwed yourself. And plus, you have a lot of stuff to look forward to. So you have to make you have to make some calculated decisions. And to me, the biggest thing that matters is XRP because that's my biggest holding, but also what this chart, what the massive chart is saying here, right? And I still believe we will. So here's the thing. This doesn't mean we're not going to $10, right? $10 XRP, right? I'm telling you right now, we are going to $8 to $10. I can tell you with full conviction in my bones, in my blood, in my being, in my conviction, that we are going to $10. But here's the problem with that. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen now. It could mean that we have A, B, C, and then it happens later, much later, right? And that's kind of been the two options that I've been presenting for months now. For months, I've been talking about this potential for us coming massively back down. Right? It wasn't my first choice. It wasn't my first love. But now that we've seen other things go down, such as this time analysis fractal of Bitcoin, which is a big deal, and plus the time analysis fractal, right? If you take this fractal right here and you match it up right here, it doesn't look as big, but it's actually the same length and time. If I go to regular scale, well, now look at this. It's the same size, right? Is it the same size? Let me see this here. You know what? I did not check. It's going to be very hard to put that right on the line there. I'm going to put that right there. And then we're going to take this and I'm going to put it. Whoa, that's kind of scary, man. That's a little bit scary. And I'm going to put it right. Dude, stop. Okay. You know what I mean? It just makes it hard. It makes it so hard to stay in 100% in crypto when I just discovered another thing that says, hey, look out, you know. So it's like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to crash and go down? Well, here's the ultimate bearish scenario. So let's just get it out of the way and rip the Band-Aid off. So the ultimate bearish scenario, first of all, there's two ideas, right? The first two ideas is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The second idea is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, or 4, 5. I don't know how that looks, right? And those are the main ideas. Now, the ultimate bearish idea is we have 3 waves down, okay? And this is actually 3 waves up and then 3 waves down. And then 1, 2, and then we're going up, right? That would be obviously the super bullish idea, but also the triangle, right? We have A, B, C, D, E, and that's why those 2 bullish ideas have kept me from really entertaining this idea that I'm about to present, which is this is a 3-wave move and it's finished and it's scary. So we have 3 waves down. We have 3 waves up. It's a complex B. So what does that mean, guys? Dun, dun, dun. We have to go back down in 3, which could be incredibly bad before we go up. And that is a very real possibility. The reason I don't like that possibility is because it's way too big. Look how massive. This would be the biggest freaking ABC ever. I mean, look how big this took. This 3-wave B wave took 5 years, dude. A B wave. Just the B wave. Not talking about the A, not talking about the C. Just the B. Took 5 years. I mean, that's why I just really can't understand. It's just odd to me, right? But we could have something quick. Like, for example, this could come down fast, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then kind of do something like this and then start to go back up. And basically we have a 3-wave. It's a flat. It's a stupid flat. It's one of those flats that destroy everything. And what that would do, it would make the base even bigger, right? So you have a hit to the low, and instead of hitting to the high, hitting to the low, this whole thing is hitting to the high, then you hit to the low, right? So that's the ultimate bearish case. So how far could that go down? Well, I don't think it would be that dramatic. I think it would be somewhere around between 63 cents and 91 cents. I think that would be the low. I don't think we're going to break that low. If we do break that low, then that would be very bad. Because at that point, it's like, okay, why would we break that low knowing there's an ETF coming out, knowing that basically, this was Gary Gensler down here. Why would we go below Gary Gensler? It makes no sense. Why would we go below what Gary Gensler, the worst possible environment we could have possibly be in? Why would we go below that with this Trump administration? See, that's why I don't believe it. But I do believe that we could potentially have a back test in here, some kind of a back test in this zone right here. And I'm not sharing this to, scare everyone. I'm showing this so that we can understand that this is a real situation here that we have to deal with. This is a zone. This is basically the epitome of what XRP is this zone here between 63 cents and $1.30. It spent more of its life. Well, actually, it spent more of its life below $1 than, or below 50 cents than anything. But this is the longest time XRP's ever been above $1, let alone $2, let alone $3. So if we do come back down, it would probably look something like this, where we kind of have a little bit of a fall here, kind of come back up, maybe just play around a little bit, and then have that final capitulation low, and then build some kind of a Wyckoff base, and then start working your way back up. But if we do that, here's the thing though, if we do that, my target's going to change. It's not going to be $8 to $10 anymore. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not going to be 8 to 10. It's not going to be 8 to 10. My target right now is $8 to $10. But if we do this, if we kind of come down and, play around in here and then start to come back up, my target's not going to be $10. It's going to be higher than that. You know why it's going to be higher than that? Because what this is going to do, if we do come down, first of all, you have a job, right? I don't have a job. So I have to rely on the market for my job. You most likely have a job where you earn money. So you're in the best position in the world. The best place to be at in a bear market or in a downtrend is at a job making money, so that you can deploy as much cash as you possibly can during this opportunistic moment in time. Because if we do come down here and we start flagging out and we start, having a big move down, this is going to drastically give us, we're going to reset the momentum, because right now, you know, we went up and up and up and up and up and up and up, basically all up here, right? So if we're here, then, and if we keep going up and up and up, we don't have much momentum left, right? Think about gasoline in the tank. You know, we didn't go to the gas station yet. So if XRP is up here and then we come all the way down, all the way down, oh my God, it's the end of the world. But guess what? Now we went to the gas station. Now we reset the momentum. We reset the oscillators. We reset the market. We flush the liquidity. We reset the liquidity. We back tested. We're in key areas. What happens, guys? What that means is now when we go to $10, it's going to probably blow right past that. You know why? Because we reset, right? So maybe that's what has to happen. Maybe we have to come down here and reset in order for us to hit that big $15 to $20 level, right? So, you know, you kind of move up, pull back down, move up, pull back down, move up, pull back down, and then move way up, have a big move up, right? So if I take the bottom of this to the top of that, and then I took this and I put it right in the middle line, and then I go all the way up, where does that get me? That's like almost $15. So that's a lot higher than 8 to 10, right? Because if I take that same line and I put it right there, and then I come over here, you can see we haven't quite hit it yet. But if we don't use the COVID wick, and if we just use the base of the body of the candle to the top, right about there, just being a little bit more conservative with it, and then I'm gonna take this line, get rid of that, put that light in right there. Well, I mean, we're definitely closer, but still not quite there, right? But that's all the length we have. So if I take this line and then I put it here, or even here, yeah, right here, or even there, you know, you're looking at, you know, $16 from here, you're looking at around $11. So, yeah, so essentially it comes down to, you know, a big moment here. Let me get rid of this, which is, you know, the alternative, right, is still our main idea, which is, you know, you can't deny what this is looking like, right? We still have our rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. You go sideways, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. You go sideways, right? You get the breakout, you get the consolidation, you get the breakout, you get the consolidation, then you get the final move. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that final move. But if that final move doesn't happen for whatever reason, maybe the rate cuts, maybe the government shut down, maybe something with the Fed, maybe, you know, there's just so many variables that make it so that it's not a for sure thing at this moment in time, but it is a for sure thing over time, right? Without a doubt in my mind, we will hit $8 to $10. No matter what, I believe we will do that. Obviously, it's not financial advice. I could be totally dead wrong and XRP could go to zero. It's not financial advice. But in my bones, I firmly believe we will hit that $8 to $10 level at some point in the next, you know, couple years. So we can either, so here's the options. We can either do that now, or we can have an A, B, C, and then do it later. Or we would do 3 down, 3 up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, and then do it much later. So those are the 3 options, guys. And that is a real deal right here. This is like definitely this is the grand finale right here, basically. Those are our 3 options right there. So again, you know, let's just do it in green. So in green, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to go up and hit 5. And it's over. Okay. And I can't see why we came this far. Why can't we just have one more push? And I think, if it gets enough people bearish, because look, there's more bearish people for sure. So maybe the market makers are trapping the bears. Very, very possible. They're making it look like we're going to go down, but we're not. We're going to just keep pumping. And that's, because they want your XRP. They want you to sell. They want you to get out so that they can buy it. Or you can look at it like, well, they want you in. Everyone believes $8 to $10 and you're not going to get it because we're going to do something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, and then we have 3 down, we have 3 up, and then we have 1, 2, 3 down, and it's a proper ABC, and then we go up. So look at the difference in time. That's a big difference. So just because it doesn't happen here doesn't mean it's not going to happen there, right? Or if it's the worst case scenario, then we would then have something like this. Basically one of these. So something like that. Does that make sense? So you either have you either have it happen within the next, let's see, we're in Q4. So we'll say November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So if it doesn't happen within the next 7 months, that could be a bad thing, right? So if it doesn't happen in Q4 like this, then we're going to have one more chance. We have 2 chances, guys. We have 2 chances to break out. Okay. Where are we here? One chance is, I'm going to use this line here, is between now and the end of the year. The other chance is between, we'll just say May. Or the end of April is fine. So if we don't hit $8 to $10 by the time we hit those 2 black lines, then there's a big then the possibility dramatically increases that we would have to come down and backtest 88 cents. Right? I think 88 cents is a good spot because it's like the top of that, kind of right there. You have that little guy right there. You have this major point. You have this major point. Right? So was that 88 cents? Yeah, 88. We'll say 90 cents. Between 88 and I think it was 92 cents on this exact wick here. Was it 92? Doesn't really. Yeah, well, 90. Yeah, 94, 95 actually. So, yeah, if we don't, that's why I'm giving it some time right in here. That's what I would like to see, or something like this. But this is the most bullish time in crypto. It is the months between October, November, December, and January, February, March, April. Those are the most bullish times in the market. So is it possible that we're not going to get anything bullish? We're just going to continue to trend down? Very, very, very possible. We could just keep trending down. The biggest scary thing for me is that we have 3 waves. So that itself can give us 3 waves, which would be just absolutely just doesn't make sense. It just completely unbelievable to me. So, but let's look at Bitcoin now. And well, first let's look at Bitcoin dominance, because Bitcoin dominance is starting to come back up. But that's okay, right? Because it's not going to go down in a straight line. So I really would like to see, if Bitcoin dominance breaks above this, we're in trouble. This is what we just don't have XRP to rely on. We can rely on the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the Bitcoin dominance, gold, silver, Bitcoin itself, right? So we really want to see Bitcoin dominance get up here and then continue down. That's what we want to see in order for the bulls to stay in control. Otherwise, what this is doing is, it's breaking down. It's going to come up here and retest it here, right? So we did get the break. If this comes back in here, it could have been a fake out, but we'll see. So, all right, now let's look at Bitcoin. Here's the big problem with the bears. All right, now I'm going to get a little bit bullish now. I'm still going to, well, I'm basically neutral. I'm trying to provide, I'm not, if we go up, I'm not going to say, oh, I told you so. If we go down, gee, I told you so. No. This is to we're not at that point yet that we can make a solid conviction of, yes, it's going to go up. Or I'm talking about the next move. I believe, like I said, I believe wholeheartedly we will go to $8 to $10 without a doubt in my mind. Full blown conviction. We will. But that doesn't mean that's gonna be the next move. It could be 5 moves later before we get to that move. And that's what I'm trying to explain here. So if you look, well, actually, let's do it ourselves. And we can easily just do a bars pattern here. And if you look, I think we'll just do it from right there. And we'll just do that. Okay. So we'll take, basically what he did is he took this here and he put it right there at the very top. And it's funny he chose that because he used to say, well, no, that was the top. Right? That was the top. So if that was the top, then it totally deviated from it, right? But if you say, and the reason why you would say this is the top, because all the altcoins didn't make a new high. And if you look at the RSI and the MACD, it would suggest this was the top right here, and this was just a retrace. So, if you look where we're at, we're literally right there, guys. We're right at the very, very top. This is insane. So this, and you can say, well, there you go. That's the argument. I'm selling everything. But here's the problem with that, though. If, let's just get rid of that. Notice how this went up in 3 waves. Okay, you could say, well, yeah, this went up also in 3 waves. Yeah, but look at the shape of it. It's not the same shape, okay? This looks so much bearish compared to this. This right here looks very bullish. Okay, so let's just get rid of that fractal. We already looked at it. Now let's just look at Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin. Doesn't it look... There's not one thing on this chart that says, yeah, we're going down. Not at the moment, not on the weekly chart. Guys, we just had the highest quarterly candle close in history. Let me say that one more time. We just had the highest 3-month quarterly candle in Bitcoin's history. Okay? History. And all of Bitcoin. For the last how many years? Since 2008. Right? How long's Bitcoin been alive? Basically 16 years. So out of 16 years, 16, that's a long time. That's like having a baby and now you wake up, they're 16 years old. That's crazy. 16 years, guys. And we just had the highest 3-month candle in history. So how is that bearish? It's not. It's bullish. And I understand that, and I recognize that, and I look, I get it. But we can't, you still got to, we still have issues here. Like what we're going to talk about in a minute, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. So first of all, this is going to be the biggest Sunday in history. I think, for Bitcoin. This is going to be the most monumental time in Bitcoin's history. All right. You're like, say history one more time. I dare you. Okay. So here's the big cool part. Look at this, guys. This is our weekly candle. We're about to have the highest weekly candle in Bitcoin's. There you go. So this is going to be the highest. If we can close above, if we could close above 119, which is not that far away, unfortunately. It's not like it's a slam dunk, right? And here's the other problem with that, though, is when you go to the daily chart, it's still not, it would be better if it was a weekly and a daily, but you can see it's actually a lower high. So far, right? Okay. So, yeah, to me, the most bullish thing about Bitcoin is the weekly chart. I mean, just look at it. You know, we came up here, we're getting rejected. We came back down, and in 3 waves, we came down in 3 waves. And then we had a 1-2, and now we're breaking out, and now we have the highest weekly close, or about to be. So that's a big deal. And so what if we get the weekly close? Well, then it basically, what that does is it buys us more time. It buys us more time for the market to get going, right? Okay, so what if it doesn't get going? What then? Well, here's the options we have for Bitcoin. And nobody wants to talk about this, which is what? Which is we have 3 waves up now. We have 3 waves up. All right. So we had 3 waves down, W. We have 3 waves up. That could be an X. So what comes next? We have, like this, 3, 3, 3. We have 3 waves back down, or 5. It could be an ABC, something like that. And then what happens? And then we blast off, guys. And that happens right in the thick of Q4. So option number 1, WXY, go. Option number 2, this is actually, ladies and gentlemen, a running flat. So we have 5 waves up. We have 3 waves down, W. We have 3 waves up, X. And then we have 3 waves back down, which is a Y. And what that is a running flat. It's a very bullish running flat. Very, very bullish running flat. And that would be a 1 and a 2. I'm not saying that's the count. It could be totally wrong. It could be wrong. But it's still valid. It's a valid count based on the structure, based on the waves. So, yes, the market makers make it very difficult. They don't want you to get rich. They want you to lose, because if you lose, that means they win. Okay? And how do you not lose? You hodl, right? Now, that's the most important thing anyone can do, is hodl. And you can say, well, what if this was the beginning of a bear market and we just had to waste 4 years of our lives when we could have easily taken profit? Taking profit is different. All right. You can take profit. Hell yeah. I totally encourage taking profit. But you still want to hodl all of the work you put into it, right? So I just tell people, you got a job, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, take 5% of that paycheck and put it into crypto every single 2 weeks. You say, well, I can't afford that. Well, then do 4%. I can't afford that. Well, then do 1%. Do something every 2 weeks. Take a little bit of your paycheck and put it into crypto. That's what I've been doing since 2017, okay? I've been doing that since 2017. And if I would have gotten scared back over here, right? If I would have gotten scared and let's say like right here, and I would have sold my whole bag, and then I would have just lost out on all of that, unless I would have gotten back in. But you have to get back in. Otherwise, you basically screwed yourself. So, what is very bearish about this chart? What's very bearish is we do have 7 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So even if Bitcoin does go up, it's going to be very short-lived. I don't think it's going to be any higher, really. So, but even if this is the top of Bitcoin, it looks a lot different than how other markets topped, you know. Now you could say boom, slightly higher high, boom, slightly higher high, but look at the difference here. See this, it was just a stab. This is actually building a base right in here. You can see we're actually building something here. We're building a structure. You could see it right here. This is a structure here. So this is a range. So as long as we're inside this range, we can say that one's the red range, right? As long as we're in that range, I'd say we're doing pretty damn good. Now, it could develop something like, let's see, where the hell is it? Right there. Let's just do that. There. I don't know if that's going to work exactly. We'll see how it looks when we get up. Come on, get over there. Okay, we get rid of that. So I'd have to stretch it out a little bit, but essentially it would look something like this, where we have 3 drives to the high, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a very serious thing as well, where you have 1, 2, and 3. So 3 drives to the high, very bad. 1, 2, 3. 3 drives to the high, very bad. And then you have a big drop, and then you come up and retrace, and then lights out. So, very real possibility. Bitcoin did its job. It's at $121,000. It's been over it's been over well, that's 80K, but it's been over 100,000 for a long time, well, for a decent amount of time. So XRP and all the other cryptos has had ample enough time to break out, but there's just no new investors. A lot of the investors are from the old cycle, from the previous cycle. We didn't really bring in any new investors, at least not too many. So, yeah, one more time. That looks okay. Let's do the full one here. We'll do it from here to there. So we can have the full enchilada. There we go. So now let's resize it. There you go. Now that's extremely bearish if it's going to be something like that. So that's a little bit different. The 3 drives would be here. 1, 2, 3. And this right here is just a retrace. So this is actually this area right there. Right? So let's bring that down right there. And look at that, guys. That is kind of scary. That's because here's the problem. Bitcoin is so high up. Let's say Bitcoin crashes down to $98,000. Well, it's still $98,000. It's still almost $100,000. But the problem is the altcoins are so damn fragile that, you know, even though Bitcoin is at over $100,000, you know, they would still get completely wrecked, right? So actually the altcoins were stronger back when Bitcoin was, you know, in $20,000, right? So it's a very interesting thing, but essentially we would see something like that. And if we got something like this, here's the problem, guys. If this rolls over, then what is it going to do? It's going to create a shoulder, a head, and then we would probably get down here. We'd probably bounce up for another shoulder. Maybe it breaks the high. It could break the high, right? You know, I could totally see it coming up here and taking the high, and maybe that's when we get the alt rally. You know, now that I think about that, that would make sense, because if we look at XRP, right? What is one of the ideas for XRP? Well, we have 3 down, we have 3 up, and then we would get 1, 2, 3 down. So that would give us, you know, like another 3 months or so, right? Okay, well, if Bitcoin comes down, you know, if Bitcoin comes down from there, that's about the same amount of time as right there. And then Bitcoin goes up into a retrace. And then as Bitcoin goes into a retrace, that's when all of the altcoins go into an exploding rally. Well, not all of them, but some of them. Right? I like that idea. I think that's a solid idea because it makes sense from a Bitcoin dominance perspective. Because remember, if we go back to Bitcoin dominance now and we look at it, we can see, let me get rid of all that. We can see very clearly, right? Bitcoin's kind of going back up. So if this is 3 down, 3 up, 3 back down, just like that, and that's a flat right there. Okay, during us going down, that's when Bitcoin goes up. Okay? And then if we put Bitcoin on the screen, do I have Bitcoin on here? There we go. Yeah, it's kind of too cluttered though, so it's not going to really work. But let me see. Actually, let me make Bitcoin price line. Wait, no. Line. There we go. Okay. So where was it going? So we have a flat, right? And then we come down. This goes up. Okay. And then as Bitcoin comes down too, right? And then Bitcoin dominance gets rejected and then it really flies out. And that's when XRP flies up. But that's when Bitcoin goes into a retrace. I like that idea, guys. I'm gonna stick with that idea for, you know, in my back pocket, you know. So because basically that idea pleases the bulls and pleases the bears, because we do get a big crash, but then it also is followed up by a big rally. So let's go back to Bitcoin. And let's look at this fractal here. So again, we have a shoulder, we have a head, and then right here is Bitcoin. And then what happens? We crash to the downside. Okay. But at the same time, XRP corrects to the downside in a 3-wave move. And then XRP explodes, but then it goes to a new all-time high, but Bitcoin only goes into a retrace. And that's exactly what happened back in the day here when we take XRP off and we put THETA on. Where did THETA blast off? It blasted off right at the top here, right? And then some of them blasted off in the retrace. Like XRP, for example. So, okay, yeah. See, this is the same thing that happened with XRP, right? So look where XRP exploded, guys. So here's the top of Bitcoin right there. Okay. Actually, let me get rid of that. So here's the top of Bitcoin. And then what happens? We crash, okay? And then we retrace. Remember that. We crash and then we retrace. So when did XRP break out? Did it blast off during the blast off, or did it blast off during the retrace? It blasted off during the retrace. Look. I'm going to put this down here. So I'm going to put a line. I'm going to put that line right. When did it blast off? Wait a minute. There we go. That's the start. So look, Bitcoin's coming down. But look at XRP. XRP is going up, right? So I wish I can just have, yeah, let's just do a line real quick. Let's just do a line real quick. Man. No. So yeah, there we go. There we go. Now it makes sense. So now let me spread it out. So there you go. So you could see Bitcoin came down and then Bitcoin retraced. But during the retrace, that's when XRP flew to the upside massively. So this is all of XRP's rally right there. That's all of the bull run. I would say 70% or 60% of that bull run happened in the Bitcoin retrace. Okay, so understanding that logic, if we go back over here, right? We go back over here. Bitcoin has not had a retrace yet. So of course XRP is not going to blast off into the stratosphere because it's not time yet. Because Bitcoin has not went into a retrace. So when does Bitcoin go into a retrace? When Bitcoin after Bitcoin crashes. So when's Bitcoin going to crash? It could crash soon. So that's the whole thing, right? You know, if Bitcoin comes down and crashes, everyone's going to get out and sell. But then once we go into the retrace, that's when XRP could blast off into the stratosphere. That's what I think. So that's my conclusion, guys. That's what I'm thinking here. That's what I'm thinking. So let me go to XRP. And then we're going to put Bitcoin on. Okay. And then basically, you know, we have a flat just like this. And XRP is going to crash. It's going to crash hard. But it's gonna go back up. And then what Bitcoin's going to do, maybe Bitcoin crashes. And then as it goes into its retrace, that's when XRP explodes. So there you go. But if we go back to Bitcoin, Bitcoin does not look like it's ready to crash quite yet. Unless we get something big next week. Remember, I said I don't like it when, you know, we have a bullish, you know, because as soon as October 1st hit, we had a bullish day. And usually that's not a good thing, right? You could start to see it starting to come down a little bit here. Bitcoin's starting to come down a little bit here. So let's see how it all plays out, guys. I mean, I think, look, I don't know the future. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not here claiming I know everything. I'm not here saying, oh yeah, I know it's exactly going to do this and I'm so smart. No. I'm just being realistic. I come up with these ideas and it makes sense to me. And if, you know, I have different perspectives, but essentially it comes down to, you know, what do I believe? And I just, for the last 57 minutes, I've been telling you what I believe. So, but for now, I'm watching Bitcoin here. You know, we have a three-way move, right? So let's look at a trend-based fib extension and let's see where we're at on this extension here. So we'll look at that. We hit the 1.414, almost the 1618. So that's good. So, and it's Saturday. So I would say Saturday, Sunday is probably going to be a little bit bearish. So look out for this. 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and then 3 waves back down, and then we go up. That could be very bullish. And if we got that, it would negate what we just talked about where, you know, Bitcoin comes down, XRP also comes down, Bitcoin retraces, but then XRP blasts off into the stratosphere. So boom, 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 right? So it also could be a running flat for Bitcoin. So we'll see. What else? Well, we can't go the whole way without looking at some other charts, right? Let's look at, so yeah, XLM. See, I just don't like this descending triangle, guys. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I just hate that. I hate it. So I could be, if it breaks out, I'll be so happy. But this looks like to me, you have 3 down, you have 3 up. And to me, either we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it becomes a bigger 3, something like that, or we have 3, 3, and then 3, and then something like that, right? So a 3-wave move. Remember, point A, point B, we're right in the middle. So this is the most challenging place on the planet to be in as far as the charts go. But when we zoom out, it still looks pretty dang good, right? Actually, let me zoom out further. So yeah, if you can hit that like button, really appreciate it. Drop a comment, let me know what you think. I know we're over an hour, but this is the real deal here. We gotta pay attention. So look at this. You got a cup, you got another cup, you got a beautiful W pattern. So this could be A, B, C, and then we just break out. So we have a big capitulation coming on our way. I mean, it looks like it. That's totally the case. So if this has it, if we do break down, and then we come up, and then we get rejected, and then I would say, okay, yeah, now we're probably going into a bear market. But if we don't, then I would expect us to break out. So that's pretty much it for XLM. You know, when I look at things like Monero, I just say, what bear market? You know, it doesn't look like a bear market to me. Where's Monero at? You know, but it doesn't matter what Monero says, because it matters what the global markets say. You know, that's more of a factor. Now look at Monero. Monero looks still very, very bullish. I mean, very bullish. You know, look at that. You got this little three-way pullback. You back tested in here. You're still kind of pumping a little bit. You got this freaking cup and handle. You got this big cup. You got this big handle in here. So without a doubt in my mind, guys, I don't think this is going to be like 3 down like this. It just looks ridiculous. To me, it makes more sense. If we do crash, now I'm not saying we can't have a big crash, but I don't think we're going to go into a multi-year bear market. We could, you know, with Bitcoin, but with something like Monero, I would say like 3 down, 3 up, and then we get another 3 down. If the worst case scenario, right? And we come back down and retest that, and then we go up. I mean, that looks totally plausible here. I mean, just look at this chart here. I mean, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves, right? But you got 3 down. This could be a B wave, and then we get C. So that could be a 1, and that could be a 2, and then we go up, right? So you could say, well, who cares about Monero? Well, we're trying to get as much bullish argument as we can. And you could say, well, that's biased. Well, yeah, I am biased. I mean, you got to be biased, right? Everyone in crypto is somewhat biased because we all want crypto to go up. I mean, some of us want it to go down, but why do we want it to go down? Because we want to buy it cheap, meaning we want it to go eventually at some point up. So when we look at SHIB, I still think it could be that Wyckoff situation that we talked about. And remember what we just talked about when we would get that XRP crash, right? And the Bitcoin crash, right? So right here. So here's our flat right there. If Bitcoin comes down or XRP comes down like that, well, then that could mean that SHIB also comes down, but instead of coming down, it actually creates the spring pattern, the spring phase. So remember, we looked at this with theta, right? The same thing with theta, exactly the same thing. So you can see right in here, right? Look at this. This is bullish, right? You got 3, come back down, take the low, and then you work to the high, work yourself to the high. But then if you look closely right in here, it kind of just boop, 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 right? And then massive drop. That's exactly what happened here, right? You could see this part right here is kind of like what this is doing. Boom, 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 boom. And then it drops down. So if Bitcoin gets that big drop down, right? And then we drop down, what happens? Bam. We take out the low. Everyone freaks out. Okay, now we're going into a bear market. This time we're going into a bear market. But what actually happened is that marked the low. It marked the low, and then we go up. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably what's playing out here. Something like this, right? It could even be finished. It could even be finished because we do have a move up. We have 3, we have 3, and we have 3. So boom, boom, boom. It doesn't look finished to me. It looks like it might need a little bit lower to go. Remember, tomorrow's Sunday. I probably is going to be bearish. And then we go, and then hopefully we go up, or it creates the spring and then we go up. So to me, this looks like a bottom to me. It looks like this, it looks like accumulation. If I flip it upside down, you know, to me, it looks like it could pop the high and then just do something like that, right? Which is the opposite. So there you go. AVAX. This to me looks definitely like a 3-wave move. So this could literally be like a 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're about to just crash and go down into a big 3, which would be an event. It'd be event related, right? Some kind of event. But one that definitely keeps me up at night is Litecoin. Litecoin still looks incredibly bullish. Remember, Litecoin has been bearish its entire life, basically, right? Compared to Bitcoin. But if you look at it, it actually looks like it's knocking on the door here, right? It looks like it's right there that we could have a big push up. So, you know, so at the end of the day, what is this video? Is it bullish? Is it bearish? It's, you know what it is? It's let's wait and see. There's arguments for both sides. I think we're going to get both. I think we're going to get a big bearish move, but then I also think it's going to shock everyone, and then we're going to get a big bullish move, right? The market goes up, the market goes down, and that's what's going to keep happening. It's going to keep going up, it's going to keep going down. But what is the ultimate goal for everyone? Well, I think for everyone, the ultimate goal is like Litecoin, XRP, breaking out into new all-time highs. That's the goal. And do I believe that goal is going to happen? Absolutely. Like, if you're working at a job and you earn a paycheck every 2 weeks, you put 5% in, and you do that year after year, month after month, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about at all. In fact, you would actually hope that the market could come down. That way you can have more paychecks and more buying positions. That way when it goes up, let's say you had 10 Litecoin here. Well, now you have 1,000 Litecoin here because you were able to buy. It took longer, but you have more to show for. So theta is going to be exactly the same as SHIB, literally the same thing, right? Maybe we get this little bit of a spring phase and then we go up, just like that graph we just looked at, right? And if we put Bitcoin on and XRP on, or maybe, and let's say Bitcoin crashes, and then we crash here, and then Bitcoin retraces, and then that's when we get a major retrace in the altcoin, and then from there everything just crashes, right? So basically equating that to what theta would do. So let's look at it. Yeah, everything's red today. Like I said, we're approaching the weekend, right? What happened this week? We had a bullish Wednesday. We had a bullish Thursday. We had a neutral Friday, just like we talked about. And then today, Saturday's bearish. And then Sunday probably be bearish again. So, Ethereum. Here's another one that is a big conundrum to me that I don't know why BCB didn't touch on, which is Ethereum. Like, dude, you can't ignore Ethereum. Ethereum it looks complete to me. Ethereum looks like a rock star. You have 3 down, you have 3 up, you have 3 down. Boom, boom, boom. So to me, how is that bearish? You have an impulse to the upside. Now, we could get a big wave too, A, B, C, a big dump, a crash, but after that crash, I would expect it to go to new all-time highs. So what I think is going to happen is, number one, either we're going to break out, or number two, we're going to have a big correction and then break out. Those are the two ideas. Which one's it going to be?
Now, if we have a big correction and then we try to go break out and we get rejected, then we can say, okay, yeah, now we could go into a bear market, right? But until then, we have to assume we're bullish. Why do we have to assume we're bullish? Because it's all about consensio. What is consensio? Look at the weekly moving averages, guys. Look at the moving averages. We're pointing up, we're pointing up, we're pointing up, we're pointing up. We're flagging out. We're impulsing. I mean, everything is bullish, 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 bullish. But yes, there are bearish things that we cannot ignore. So, one of the big problems too would be like Link and H bar and XLM is because you have point A, point B, you're stuck right in here, and anything can happen right in there, right? But this could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, go. 1, 2. What's wrong with that, right? And then we kind of retest this level. We have a big dump, and then that's when Bitcoin crashes. And then once Bitcoin retraces, Link blast off. Remember that. So if we put Bitcoin down here, right? Let's say Bitcoin dumps, Chainlink dumps, Bitcoin retraces, Chainlink flies. So, and that would make sense also because of the Bitcoin dominance, right? Or it could be a flat. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. So 1, 2, and this is a 1, 2, and this is another 1, 2, or the beginnings of a third wave. So which one's it going to be? I mean, I can't definitively say for sure, but there you go. That's kind of what we're looking at here. If we look at something like ICP, man, we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then slam down for 5. So, I still would like to see a little bit of a retrace in here before if we do continue to dump. So, I'm going to be watching XRP and Bitcoin. You could see we're still on the bull market support band from a weekly perspective. Once Bitcoin or XRP loses the bull market support band, it's going to be less likely that we're going to go up in terms of time, but that doesn't take away ultimately we will hit that $8 to $10 mark. It's just a matter of time, but the big question is, well, when's that going to happen? Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen later? Or is it going to happen much later? Those are the options, right? So we'll see how all of it plays out. But look, even the 3-month candle still looks very, very bullish. This is what I will leave you with. Look at XRP on the 3-month chart, guys. This is probably one of the most bullish charts ever. I mean, on the market cap chart, right? You can see we're reverse flagging in here. So we had the highest quarterly candle close, highest quarterly candle close, highest quarterly. We've had the highest quarterly candle close 1, 2, 3, 4, the last 4 quarters in a row, basically the last year. So the last 4 quarters, highest quarterly candle close, highest quarterly candle close, highest quarterly candle close, highest quarterly candle close. So why are we bearish? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I do know, but there we go. And you could see the current quarterly candle is trading above the previous quarterly candle, which was the highest. So that's a big deal, right? And until that changes, if we break below 165 billion, which doesn't tell me anything. Let's see. Let's go to XRP on the chart. If we break below 277, if we start going back below that close, then that'll be a little bit worrisome, right? So, but it doesn't look too much like a flat on this time frame, right? Like boom, 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 right? Something like that. So, anyways, I've ranted on long enough, trust me. So anyways, remember, keep an eye out for this fractal. It's very bearish, right, from a time perspective. But then, you know, you can look at something like the bigger time frame, still looks very bullish, right? I've shared this on X yesterday. Also, I said, let's stay in this range. As long as we're in this range, we have to remain neutral, right? We go below the range, we're bearish. We go above the range, we're bullish. I mean, it's pretty simple. So, and then this basically is two ideas here, right? The blue count or the black count. The blue count, you know, you have an ABC, 1, 2, 1, 2, let's go. Or the black count, you have 3 down, 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back down, which is the pink here, and then we go up, right? And then obviously you have Bitcoin weekly candle basically at all-time highs, so that's pretty. But then you have this guy over here, which is the freaking, you know, very, 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 very scary when you look at it from that perspective as far as the timing. So my son is telling you happy Halloween. I'm just kidding. I mean, we're at the Halloween store trying on some masks. He looks really creepy. He's holding his little teddy bear right there. Oh man. So anyways, guys, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You can hit the like, drop a comment, let me know what you think. And yeah, let's just try to be neutral. And I will put probably a members video out soon. Maybe I'll make this a members video. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get there. And then yeah, we'll figure this out. Don't worry, we will figure this out. So anyways, I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.